Welcome back to Wrecking with B-Ray, and today I am prepping the Conquest for an autocross this weekend at the Good Guys Show in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've already done some odd and small maintenance stuff, making an aluminum heat shield for the starter and all kinds of little things, but right now, this video, I plan on making a front splitter, because we got the big old wang in the back, but there's no splitter. I just have never gotten to actually putting one on the car because, honestly, since we got back from SEMA 2020, I really haven't messed with the car. I've been tied up on everything else. But this summer, I've planned, I'm going to drive the car. I'm going to enjoy the car. We're going to autocross the car. We're going to track the car. We're going to have fun with it. So, I got to start chipping off that honey-do list for my project car. Today, splitter. And as much as I would love doing carbon fiber or something crazy like that, you guys know B-Ray is way too cheap for that, so we're doing plywood. Don't get me wrong, for everybody that don't know and don't understand, plywood is an acceptable use for a splitter on a road course / track car because a front splitter is technically kind of a consumable. They grind, they drag the ground, they get broke. It is what it is. I'm not spending thousands of dollars on a carbon one just to catch it across an apex and crack it or whatever. So, we're going to make them out of cardboard. I'm going to make it out of plywood, but I'm going to show you a cool little trick to where you can actually make it not look like plywood and it be kind of cool. So I've started with this nice, I cut it down to 6 foot wide because I want the splitter to be pretty much the same wheelbase as the car. I don't want it to be giant full-time attack. But we've got a 6 foot long by 29 inch piece that'll give me enough, what do you call it? That would be width to make sure that it sticks out enough and it sticks underneath the bumper enough. And this will be the first time the splitter goes on, so it's kind of, I'm throwing poo against the wall and seeing what sticks. I'm going to make something that I like and see if I like it, and then we'll just make it better each time. The whole point of the car is to get it together and then start fine-tuning. Alright, so I just got finished tracing it out. I basically stuck it underneath the front end of the car, held it up with a transmission jack, marked center line, and traced the actual lower diffuser part of the bumper, and I marked where the tow hooks are and the actual lower part of where the bumper, like the inside lip versus the outside lip. And we also marked, I also marked where the suspension kind of comes through at, so I can get a basic layout. Now the first thing I'm going to do is drill the holes and start clearancing for the tow hooks and stuff that clears it, so then I can actually seat it up against the bottom of the bumper and see about how to start mounting it, where to mount it at on the chassis. I do already have a couple of hooks that I installed on the front rad support back when we first built the car, under there and over there, so that I could attach my splitter hardware. I just never made the splitter until now. So let's get these holes drilled. Alright, now that I've got the tow hook holes cut, which you can't even, there you go. Now that I got the tow hook holes cut, I'm going to mark the distance between the front peak here, and then I'm going to take the same mark, and I'm going to mark it on each corner. I'm going to pop a straight line, and then I'm going to cut it with the skill saw, and then I got to figure out how I'm going to radius and do the sides. That's something I'm going to have to see it on, but I've got to get those angles cut so that I can tell how I want it to look. Alright, this is more challenging than you would think because I don't really like the 7-inch roll that's on this side that I've got penciled in. I'll show you a little closer. And I don't really like the straight line either. So this is hard because I don't like that, like the way it would roll at all, especially with like the way the bumper's sharp. But I'm not a fan, I don't think, of that. Like it's too straight. Like there needs to be like a nice flow to it. So I've kind of got an idea of a way, because I don't want to keep drawing on the board because then when it's time to cut it, I'm going to be completely confused. So I grabbed a piece of small brake tubing and I'm just going to start bending it and working a shape and see what kind of little swizzle do there on the corner I like. Now, I know it should be function over form, but this is kind of a big aesthetics piece to the car, and I've got to like it. I don't want to hate it. So, I want to make it pretty. It is what it is. Sorry. We're going to see what we can do. Alright, so I think I found something I think I like that. Granted, it's not going to have the little swoop in here, but I like the way that flows with the bottom half of the car. I think that's going to look good. And I'll kind of terminate it here, and we'll work on probably getting like a little, I guess a canard or deflection corner. I don't know what the technical term is, but we'll work on getting a little piece to tie that to the bumper. And yes, I know it's in, but there's no support. I'm going to make supports on the bottom on this splitter to hold the bumper out because that's the factory front chin spoiler, and if you can tell, that is not a factory wide body. So I just want it to flow really nice, and I feel like once that is kicked out, that is going to flow nice. And then a nice tight little rounded corner there, and then you got the peak, and then we'll do the same thing. Now the cool thing is I've never seen this done. I've seen it done in different like aspects, but the idea was you use the tubing here. As long as you mark a standard point here and a standard point there, it should be the same. Just flip it over and put it on the other side, and then just get hitting it with the jigsaw. Real quick, before I cut off the square, nice edges to measure from, I set it up underneath the car, and I made sure where I want my stabilizing struts to come down to. So, and what I come up with was 20 inches from the edge and 2 inches back. And, you know, we're doing a low budget, so hardware store, and the shackles are from the hardware store as well. They're going to look good when they're all done, but, yeah, see what it is. Just centered it out and marked it so they'll mount there. But now it's time to get to cutting, and we're actually going to be following this line with a nice roll. So now it's time for the trusty dusty jigsaw. Alright, we're almost done. I got to drill the holes for the mounting brackets, and then we've got to get it fitted on the car and make sure that we're going to clear on the inner part of the wheel, and I got to figure out some way to attach it in the back so that it don't just drag the ground like a plow. So let's get these holes drilled, and then we get to throw it under the car and get a rough idea of what it's going to look like. Alright, so we got it all cut, put in place, mounted, and I freaking love it so far. We have the front tied in really nice. It's going to look awesome. problem I'm running into is I got to figure out how to suspend the back. Honestly, I probably should go buy a new piece of plywood and get one that actually goes all the way back to the engine cradle. It's probably what I need to do. I don't want to do that because I don't want to spend the money, but I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to end up having to do because it stops right here. And I'm trying to figure out some way to like come off to support it in the back. Or I could run it to the lip on the cradle if I go get a new piece of plywood and cut it with that much more to it. Yes, I know that would be the best way. But, again, I'm not sure I want to spend the money right now. I don't know if that little bit will help. Plus, I am already having quite a bit of engine bay heat inside the car. And I really don't know if I want to close that part up quite yet. Time to do some brainstorming.
A few moments later.
Alright, so I've been brainstorming all afternoon, and what I've come up with is I'm going to take and put 2 M10 riv nuts, one on each side of the frame rail, or one on each frame rail, and then I've got this cool M10 bolt with a nut on the end of it from an LS motor, and what I'm going to do is basically thread these into the frame rail, and then I'm just going to make some flat bar that goes down to the actual part of the rear of the splitter and just make it boop, and I'm going to get 2 metric wing nuts so that it makes it easy to come on and off, because it's going to be a nightmare to get it onto the ramp truck for hauling it to and from events if I decide to not drive it. So I want to make sure it comes off pretty simple, but it's also secure so it doesn't, yeet it and delete itself. You know what I mean? And these RivNet guns are like super inexpensive. I got this one off of Amazon, I think $60 with some actual riv nuts. It's pretty simple. Basically just thread it on there and squeeze it and it pulls it in, and then you turn the little knob there and you reset it and keep pulling until you stop pulling tension. You do have to be careful with the cheaper ones, because if you try to put too much like strongman on it, you'll strip out the little end, and then you got to do some creative stuff or just buy another one. So you want to make sure you take care of your tools, and you got to take extra care of the cheap ones. Ta-da! A rivet. So I dug all through my scrap piles and all through my metal supply, and not one small scrap of flat bar. So we're on our way to the old home improvement store to pick up some, probably get some wing nuts and some flat bar, and we got to get some kind of paint or resin or something, because I can't be showing up to the event with, furniture on the front end of the car. So let's go see what we can find at the hardware store. All right, I'm kind of running out of time, so I got a little ahead of myself. I went to the Home Depot. I got some aluminum 1x1 square or 1x1 angle, and I picked up a piece of this flat stock that is 1 inch by 48 inch by 3/16 thick, and some hardware. And I got the turbo can. But got everything mounted up. I bent up some brackets, and we got the aluminum pieces for the supports to hold the back lower part of the bumper, and I made the holes bigger for the tow hooks so that we can get to them, and I made the brackets. Sorry, I got carried away. Did it off camera, but it's just bending some flat bar. It's nothing really exciting, but this is what we got. Just a little drop bar and a drop bar there, and I've actually, on the lower part of my radiator support, I got 2 holes that will actually mount here and here, just to help support everything all together. Other than that, I believe we should be good. I might have to add some supports out on the ends, but we'll see. Right now, just trying to get it in place, see what it looks like all together. I'm getting excited. All right, now I have went around the edges with a little bit of automotive body filler just to fill in any kind of cracks or delaminations in the actual layers of the plywood, and sanded everything down really good. Now I'm going to take some primer, just kind of try to fill in some of the wood grain look so that we can then play with the turbo can, because we at least got to have it one color, and I want at first glance you to not know that it's a plywood splitter. But I'm just gonna get some primer shot on it, and then I will show you after the black is on, and we'll see what the progress is. I swear I freaking love these giant turbo cans, and this is why. Oh, that is awesome! Look at the coverage. And now we play the waiting game. The bad part about the turbo can is it does not dry very fast. So we've got all our mounting points and everything ready. Bolts are staged. We're just waiting for it to dry. Alright guys, as you can tell, the car is out of the shop. I've already mounted it. I know I left you hanging there for a little bit because of dry time. It's the next day, and now it is time. It's all mounted up. Here comes the cinematic glory. And there you go. A DIY plywood front splitter. You can make them look good. They don't have to look cheap, but they can be a lot cheaper than carbon and the Lumelite and all that stuff. But as you can tell, we made the front look good. The back looks good with the big wing, but we've got to do something about side skirts. So that's the next process on the Conquest, is I got to start formulating a plan to add some good looking and cost effective side skirts. So till next time, I'm B-Ray, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hey, I forgot. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Your boy's trying to make a good shot at this YouTube thing.